Magandang hapon, John Barrios po from Iloilo. Para kay Mr. Bascon. Okay. Nabanggit mo kasi kanina yung pangalan, yung anting-anting ay nagsisilbing metapora. Okay. Sa pagkakasabi niyo ng anting-anting bilang metapora, ibig ho bang sabihin niya na yung mga taong mayroong anting-anting, ang kanilang ang anting-anting ay tinitingnan bilang hindi ontologically true, ibig sabihin pinaniniwalaan, at ang anting-anting ay tulad ng mga pananaw ng mga nauna o mga istorya natin na ito ay interesting sidelight lamang sa ating kasaysayan. Tsaka isa na lang. Then para kay Rafi. Okay, sige. Yung tanong ko ay paano how can anting-anting be acquired communally when in practice anting-anting is given and transferred personally? Thank you.
Hello. Okay, sir. Thank you for that question. When it comes to anting-anting, that we're going to dig history. The leaders of the revolution actually believe in anting-anting. It's not really metaphorically. They believe it by the heart. Like for the experience of my father, he believed because when he had the anting-anting, it really protected him from the bullet of the M16 and the shotgun. I mean, twice. So it's something like that. And at the same time, heroes also from the Cebuano Revolution even wear the anting-anting, and even some of them would recite the anting-anting or the oration because they believe in the presence of the anting-anting that this anting-anting will going to protect them. However, on the succeeding generations, like in the 1960s and 70s, based also on the studies, like for example in Balamban and some part of Talisay, for example in Lagtam, some of them would join or would acquire anting-anting, but some of them would simply acquire them out of curiosity. I think that is the reason why anting-anting would not mugana no? For example, like that. But my father's anting-anting really mugana because every time every time I will cross my father, masuko akong papak, dapat mubalik jud ko. Kaya nga naman, mutangtang, muwa ang gana sa anting-anting. Then, every morning po, aside from the anting-anting, aside from the anting-anting that my father wears, there is also a sense of every morning my father would go at the back of our house and then would recite the prayers of the anting-anting. So wearing the anting-anting is not enough, but you have to recite the prayers of anting-anting, something like that.
I'd like to add something to this. So it's like empowering the anting-anting further. So they have that kind of concept that from what I researched through the asceticism, those practice fasting or meditations. So they empower their anting-anting. Like that. So a question regarding community anting-anting when anting-anting is for personal use and personally transferred person to person. So the concept of the community anting-anting does not really necessarily mean the object of the anting-anting. So what I got from the term anting-anting is the idea of protection. So that's how I framework the idea of the community anting-anting. Although I'm not sure if there's a gathering of anting-anting users. So those who have anting-anting, do they gather? Do they talk about their anting-antings? Or do they compare or something like that? So I'm not really sure. I think that's also interesting to look at. Do anting-anting users talk about what they do to empower their anting-antings, or do they keep it a secret to protect themselves? Yeah. So what I use is the idea of the protection. So that's how I got into the community anting-anting. Okay. I hope that answers the question. So, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Sir. Doc Balota, I would like to ask specifically for your presentation because there were a lot of things that you presented, right? So I'd like to ask lang, Doc, are we expected to use the materials in a single setting, or are we looking at weekly planning, or what do you say about it, Doc?
Thank you for the question. No, it's not a single setting thing because when the pieces of news, the news articles are presented, there has to be a longer pause and to examine the content of the sentences, that at least the ones that are going to be picked for the session. And there is going to be a discussion not just of what can be lost money-wise or time-wise. We would also talk about relationships, groups, interactions. So with that, it's going to be at least, it's going to be 2 or 3 meetings, because it's not just the story, it's not just the news article, but also the picture that goes with the article. And so that aside from the other activities, that we pay attention to personal experiences, to the people that we love, that matter to us. So there is also a part in the lesson in which there is a response giving to what may not be directly affecting us because, say for instance, we may be sheltered or privileged. So that exposure, I believe, is going to enrich the poetry of the students.
Thank you so much for that clarification, Dr. Balota, because I think it's overwhelming, no, if we do it in a single session. All right, to Dr. Sage, you actually presented to us the interconnection of mathematics, literature, and environment. And I'm not sure if this is included in the scope that you presented, Doc, but I'd like to ask, Doc, how do you identify the literatures that you will incorporate in your lessons in mathematics?
In connection to the paper, there are actually teachers. We have around 22 teachers from grade 7 who help identify the stories. So there are actually not all competencies, because of course mathematics is abstract in nature. So not all topics in mathematics can actually be integrated to those folk tales. So with the help of other grade 7 teachers, we map the competency and which particular story can be integrated with that particular folk tale. So in this paper, actually, we selected 4 competencies because these 4 competencies are actually suited to those folk tales by Acevedo.
As a clarification, Doc Sagi, the teachers that you are collaborating with are teachers of mathematics or teachers of English and literature?
These are the teachers in mathematics. Because the folktales are actually familiar, they are very familiar with the folktales because it's from their town. Specifically, the folktales that we selected are from Capiz. The Panay-Sayon actually is composed of the different folktales from the different parts of Panay, specifically Iloilo, Antique, Aklan, Guimaras. Negros is no longer part of us, but actually there are folktales that is mentioned on that particular book. But we focus only on Capiz, the Capiznon folktales. So the teachers are local from Capiz, so they are familiar with the folktales. Now, because they are mathematics teachers, they are very familiar with the competencies because they've been teaching that for quite some time. So therefore, it's a good match that they know the folktales and they know the competency. So, but the evaluators actually, on the other side, the evaluators actually, we also have experts in terms not only in mathematics, but of course those in literature and in local folktales also. But that's in the evaluation part.
All right, thank you so much, Doc Sage. At least we can determine that there is a collaboration between the mathematics teachers and the literature teachers, no, in the school. And I think that could apply to other universities and schools as well.